Hello and welcome to today's episode. My name is Carl from UX Toast and today we're going to look at creating a UX case study with no experience from scratch. Let's go! So you might be completely new to user experience design, or you might be someone with a bit of experience but you're looking to boost your portfolio and you're looking to create a UX case study. And that's what we're going to look at in these series of tutorials. And what we're trying to prove with a case study is that we kind of know what we're talking about. We have a bit of experience in the design process. And as part of that, we need to actually define, first of all, what is the process that we're going to take. So here I have a visualization of the process that we're going to follow throughout these tutorials, and that is the double diamond. If you're unaware of the double diamond, I have another video explaining the double diamond, and I'll link to that video right now. But if you already have some experience, I'll quickly just go over this very quickly. So the double diamond is made up of two diamonds, and the first diamond represents the problem and the second diamond represents the solution. And as part of that, we're going to do some discovery and we're going to define what the problem is we're looking to solve. And then when we've got that problem defined, we're going to develop some solutions and we're going to deliver some ideas. And as part of this, we're going to think in different ways at certain times. So sometimes we're going to diverge, we're going to think wide, and other times we're going to converge and we're going to think narrow. We're going to make choices at times, and other times we're going to make options. So that's the first thing. We choose our method. There's a few methods you could choose from. If this is your first case study, I would recommend sticking to the double diamond, as it is a tried, true and tested method, and it's very clear and very easy to tell a story around. So we're going to stick with the double diamond. And the next thing is you need a product. You need something that you're looking to improve in some way. So that is what we're trying to do as part of a case study. We are trying to prove that we found a problem and that we found some solutions at the back out the back of that, and that we have made something better in some way, be it for the company, for the users, or both in the absolute best scenario. So I've picked almost randomly this product called Olio. And Olio is an app and a website and a product in general that aims to stop food waste. So when food is going to be thrown out, it allows you to find nearby food and you can share it with your neighbours, or big companies can then share it outwards if they want to. And you can see that they've got a partnership here with Fair Share, which is a charity which is looking to fight hunger and to stop food waste. So really great partnership for them. And in their own words, they're connecting neighbours with each other and with local businesses, so surplus food can be shared, not thrown away. So I think it's a really great cause. There's a few companies who are doing something like this, and I've just picked Olio because I think it's a cool product, and I'd like to give a little bit of feedback towards what potentially could be better, as we'll uncover as part of this. So one of the first things that I want to do, this Olio is primarily, it's an app. They have a website, but primarily they try to get people working on the app. And as I said, in our double diamond, we want to first discover. The first thing we're looking to do is discover some of the problems that users may be having or the company may be having. And one of the ways in which you start doing this is you map out the flow of how a user would use this app. And it's exactly what I've done here. So I've mapped out some of the primary ways in which people use the app. I've literally just gone through it. I downloaded the app, I've become a user, I've screenshotted every screen as I'm going, and I've mapped them out, and it helps me understand what is it that could be better, where could the friction be for users. So the first section I've looked at is onboarding. So you go through a bit of an onboarding flow where they tell you a little bit about the app and you give them some permissions, you give them some details about you. And then the primary things they're going to want you to do is to find an item, or to list an item. The more items that are, the easier it is for people using it, and it becomes a network effect. So it's easier for me as a user finding an item if there are lots of people listing items, and therefore they want me to list items so other people can find their items better. So the easier that is, the better this product is going to get. So onboarding screen, as we've just walked through, quite a few screens there, and you land at this. This is the home page. And this is one of the first things, this is one of the first impressions a user is going to have of this app, and they're going to sit here and they're going to think, what is it I want to achieve? And they could have a job to be done here around, I need to find food, or they could have it be job to be done about, I have food that I want to give around. So it's worth analysing each one of these flows. So they have a search up here, and a user can go through and they can search for the word apple, for example, and you can see some things that come up. Interesting that I've come on here, it's advertised as like a food sharing product. I've searched for Apple, and then here we're getting Apple headphones and Apple iPhones. It's all based around the technology. It's based around the brand Apple, which is interesting because I'm here looking for an Apple. It's been positioned as a food sharing app, so potentially this isn't the best experience for me coming onto here searching for an Apple that I'm hoping to find. You also have these sections in the top nav, so free, borrow, made and wanted. Borrow is literally about sharing. I'm not going to focus too much on borrow, made and wanted because the primary usage that we're going to focus on this app is going to be around the free section, because they have said in their description that they're looking to stop food waste by being able to give that out. So we'll primarily focus on that. A user can click on a listing. One thing that's really interesting actually from this screen, the first screen, is everything that I'm seeing is pickup arranged already. So I'm seeing a few things on my screen and I'm already not able to see the value in this product. I can't see what I'm going to get out of this product. So, but let's say I click on one and you end up on this select listing screen. And this just gives a bit of detail about what it is, where it is, for example. I then request this item if I choose to, and then I have to go through a whole checklist of items that I have to say yes to before I can say I agree, and then finally start talking to this person. A lot of friction to be able to get to the point that I want to get to. And also there's a map feature. So the map feature is literally a map, and it shows everything that's around you, but it's a paid feature. So it will say support to unlock, and it is a premium thing, and this is the same screen that they have this in the onboarding flow. Right at the end of the onboarding flow, they'll promote you to become an Olio supporter, and I can then choose to see this monthly or yearly. I understand companies need to make money, and you have to choose at what point you're going to make the commercials more important than the user experience. This is a time where Olio have chosen that. They've said it's more important for us at this point to try and make a bit of money here, because companies need to make money, otherwise the company's going to fail. And they think the map is one of those features that people are going to pay for. So it's an interesting assumption, so we might dig into that a little bit deeper later. And there's a few other parts of the journey which are really important. As I've said, listing an item where a user can go through and they give some details for that item and they can list it. And there's other sections as well that I've mapped out here, including the profile, how a user can create a profile. They have an interesting mechanic called karma, which is the way I understand it is the more you use the app and the more you interact with other people, the higher your karma is going to get, and then you have a bit of social proof behind your name. So then I have, let's say I use the app for a while and I have green karma. You can understand that to be someone who has a bit of experience with the app, and they're not going to waste your time, they're not going to mess you around, so they might want to interact with that person a bit more. And then there's a few other sections which I won't talk into, but it's worth looking at all the different touch points that the app is going to have with the user if you're looking at dealing with the app, for example. So it's worth looking wider than just the actual app experience. But here they send me emails, for example. It's interesting to have a look in here and see what is the language they're using, what is it they're saying, what is it they're trying to direct me to. They have push notifications on the screen as well, where they try and prompt you into doing certain things. So interesting to look at those certain points. And then they have a few other flows as well, which I'm not going to focus too much on. But the point of this is we're going wide. Remember, we're in discovery, and discovery is a divergent part of our double diamond. So we're trying to think wide. We want to have a look across the whole flow as much as we can. But this isn't the only thing we want to be doing. Another part of the discovery we want to look into is trying to find as much data as possible. So obviously we don't work at Olio, so we're going to have to find that data. And one of the ways that we can find that data is through user feedback. So people are literally giving their opinions on this app. And I was on Android at the time, so I'm looking at the Android feedback here, but you could also look at the iOS feedback if you choose to. You could look on forums, you could look on Trustpilot, TripAdvisor, you can just look anywhere you want to be able to find this kind of data. And what I did in particular, they have a really good rating actually, 4.7 out of 22,000 reviews. But I focused in on the negative feedback. I filtered this by 1 or 2 star reviews, and I had a look through quite a lot. This is all the feedback I had a look through. There's more than this, but I just picked a handful. There's only so much time we have to work with. And what we're really looking for is themes. We're looking for themes that are going to help us define the problem when we're converging a little bit later. But right now we're looking wide, so we're having a look through these, and we're seeing what are the key themes. So a lot of people, as part of this, start talking about food waste heroes and how it's not maybe the best mechanic. They're saying a lot is not actually free on the app, unfortunately. People are saying that the paywall is really inconvenient. There's a few other things, but we'll talk a little bit about some of those themes a little bit later. Another thing that is really useful to know is the competitors. It's worth having a look at what the competitors are doing as well. So just doing a quick Google search for other food sharing apps, and there's a few out there. So this was one called Too Good to Go, which positions itself in the same kind of way. And here's another one called Karma, slightly lower rated, a lot of 1-star reviews, but really interesting. There's a few people in this space, and they all have fairly similar offerings. But interesting to know that these two do not have the map as a paywall. That's really interesting to know, because it seems like quite a high usage part of the app. So another thing that's really useful to do is actually try and build a bit of an understanding of the company that you're building this solution for as well. So we've talked about Olio very briefly at the start. But we need to make some assumptions on the goals of the company, because if we don't know the goals of the company, we'll probably just blindly choose any problem. And I think this is something that can really take your case study to another level. So you could have picked any of those problems that we've looked at, about the paywall around the app, around the map experience, around the onboarding, around the home screen in particular. There's a lot going on that home screen. But one thing that's really, if you look at the goals of the company and you make strong assumptions about the goals of the company, that's going to really show that you have a really business-friendly way of thinking. You have a really good commercial brain as well. So this is absolutely something I'd recommend doing as part of your case study. So some of the assumptions I'm making on the goals of Olio, one of them is that one of their main goals is growth. The reason I say that is because if you go on their website and have a look around, they talk about how the number of users they have about 5 million users here, and another part of the app and the website, they say they've got about another 5 million here as well. So they're really prominent about how many users they have, which is interesting. They also talk quite a lot about the portions of food shared, and they talk about that in a couple of spaces as well. So I think growth in terms of the number of users they have, and growth in terms of the number of portions of food shared is going to be overall part of their mission. But then there is a really clear theme of monetization as well. They need to make money. So companies need to make money. This isn't inherently dirty. Companies have to make money, and there are ways in which they do it. So they talk about how they charge businesses for the services they provide. So I imagine they potentially charge big companies like Tesco. If Tesco has food going out of date, they might charge, Olio might charge them and be able to take some of that food away and help them. It's really good for Tesco's brand. So one way in which they're making money. And obviously there's that premium offering that we've looked as well. So they offer a map experience. I think there's a few other features in which they monetize. But one thing we have already talked about is how that the map experience might not be the best way in highlighting a premium service. But I'm just going to finally zoom in on this part. So when we're looking to find the piece that we really want to work on, we want to look at this, and this is a part of design thinking. So design thinking is going to take these 3 parts, which is desirability, like a user wants it, a user wants to use this product. Commercial viability, so we can make money. We can start to build some strong commercials around this thing, and we can actually have a profitable company. And feasibility. So feasibility is usually around technical side of things. We can actually build this, and it isn't going to be a really technically heavy thing to build. This is something that we are able to do. So these 3 things coming together, desirability, viability, and feasibility, give us this little golden section in the middle, this little golden wedge. And that's really what we're looking for, something that can help us help the user, help the company, and it's something that we're able to do. So at this point, we've done a bit of discovery, and there's so many other things that we could do as part of our discovery. I'd really recommend to you doing some user testing, for example. So what you could do is you could ask your friends and family to download this app, and you could observe them and just ask them some questions, like as they're signing up, find the pain points. What are the pain points those people are going through? They could say that they really didn't trust, at this point, for example, when Olio is asking for permission about the app, you could find that your friends and family are saying, I don't know why they want that, I don't trust this app, I don't want to do that just now. And that would be a pain point. If that comes up several times, then that's a theme, and we can start to build around that. You could find that people get to this screen, and as we said before, there's nothing going on, everything's picked up to be arranged, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of nav options. That could be another theme that comes up. So I'd really implore you to get this in front of people if you can. Test with anyone that would be willing to test. Even if it's a handful of friends or like 2 or 3 friends or family, it's really going to show that you've gone above and beyond for this case study, and it's going to look really good when you're trying to put this forward as part of the job application. So, we've made some assumptions about the company, and we're looking to hone in and define. So when looking at all that feedback, I took all of the feedback and I put it into this cloud generator. And one thing that really came up was, paywall. As we'd expect, people didn't understand the paywall. They thought the map was something that shouldn't be behind a paywall, which is really interesting because there's a balance to find. A company needs to make money, but also we need to help our users do what they need to do. So there's an interesting balance to find there. People didn't see the value of it. Saying $11.99 for a year is really laughable. They say it's a free app, but as soon as you pay, you actually have to use it. And then they say they're actually quite untrusting of the company. They're saying they're probably mining my data. They're being really deceptive. Quite a lot of interesting things, a lot of angry faces going on. So the paywall is definitely a pain point to our users. And you can see that Olio have tried to reply and tried to give a little bit of context about why certain things are behind like a premium service, but I'm imagining that's going to fall on deaf ears at this point. So it's also really interesting that there's quite an unclear value proposition of the premium service. So as we've said, competitors are offering the map feature for free. So why would I as a user pay for this in particular instead of just going to a competitor? And this is something that's really dangerous for Olio. Why would I stick with Olio when I could go to Karma or to, what was the other one? Or Too Good To Go, which are both offering this for free? What is my incentive to stick with Olio? So I think the paywall is a really interesting space, and if you wanted to, I'd thoroughly encourage someone to look at this and build a case study around this. I'm not going to focus on this as part of this case study, but I actually think this is a really interesting problem, but one that's probably going to be very, very complicated to solve. But one thing I'm going to look at is the onboarding flows. So the onboarding, we've had a look through, and there's 12 screens. And as we said, we could have our friends and family have a look through this. And I'm going to presume, for the sake of this, because I haven't had time to do any testing with my friends and family for this video. But let's assume that came up as a theme, and people were like, this is a lot. Like, there's a lot of screens. I mean, there is 12 screens. There's a lot to go through. So what I've done is I've gone through here and I've mapped out some of the problems that a user might have, or from our testing that we might have found, such as there's a lot of text. I'm literally on my first screen of this experience, and I have buckets of text that I need to understand. We're asking for the Olio access to permissions for the location, which is quite early to ask for that. We haven't really given them anything. So why are they asking for this so early on? They say we need your location, but they don't really explain too much why. They say to show you nearby listings. Well, why can't I just put my postcode in, for example? Quite interesting. They then go in and they show me a little bit of social proof. There's 2,000 people near me, but again, it's another screen. They're just adding a lot of other screens. And then here we go. Yeah, you're all signed up, but here are some top tips. I have more screens to go to. I have to remember to be friendly and polite. It's interesting that they're reminding me that I have to be friendly and polite. Surely that is something that people should be doing all the time. Why is it specific for this app? Why should I be friendly and polite in this app more so than in other places? They're telling me to complete my profile. Why don't they prompt me to complete my profile or help me complete my profile later on in the onboarding process? and they're telling me about agreeing pickup. I imagine the reason they've probably done this is because there's been experiences in the past where people haven't been appearing for pickup, but I don't see why at this point telling me this is going to make my experience any better. And then as soon as I've gone through this is a few too many screens already, I'm then hit immediately with a paywall. So I'm hit with become an Olio supporter, and it doesn't look like there's any clear way out of this. It looks like I have to pay this or I have to pay this, and I can once I've clicked one I can continue, but hidden up here is this X button. This is how I can get out of this flow. And then as soon as this, I land on the home screen and I can actually finally start using this app. So this is 12 screens to get where we are. That's all we have time for in today's episode. Next time we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into the onboarding flow that we've chosen as our area of most opportunity, as well as looking at some of the UX deliverables that are really useful to have as part of your case study, as well as telling a really quick story around your project. So I'll see you in the next episode.